Welcome to the Experience Strategy Podcast with the Joe Pine, the author of The Experience Economy and lots of other great books, Dave Norton, an experienced futurist and founder of The Stone Mantle, and me, Aransas Savas, who is clearly a little bit punchy today and an expert in coaching, motivation, and behavior change. Each week, we bring you a trending story from the news and share our hot takes. This week, we are headed to maybe an unlikelier source. We are not going to the Wall Street Journal or Harvard Business Review today. We are going to VogueBusiness.com. This article comes from Madeleine Schultz. The title is Inside Saks Global's Personalization Strategy. Madeleine is looking at how Chief Commercial Officer and President of Saks Global, Emily Essner, is talking about and thinking about her personalization strategy and starting with the homepage to create a more deeply algorithm-driven personalization experience. If you want to read the article, we'll post the link in the show notes. Came out August 14th, 2025. Dave, you sourced this article. I'm curious what struck you about this and made you so excited to spend 20 minutes talking about it today.
Yeah, sure. So the three of us have been talking about personalization for a long time. Joe has been talking about personalization for a lot longer period of time. Personalization is a form of customization for individuals. And so it just seems appropriate for us to discuss this. There was a number of different things that kind of popped out to me in this article. First of all, there was this idea of your kind of like this personal homepage kind of thing, which is an idea that's been around for a long time and has been tried various ways.
None of them successfully in my mind.
None of
No, same.
Exactly. And they've spent, what was it, $600 million on this? Yeah. So I'm hoping that's one of the things that maybe we should talk about is why personal homepages haven't worked. The second thing that I think we need to talk a little bit about is this idea of hyper-personalization. That term is actually changing and becoming, at first I was really against it because what it meant was like trying to go deeper around preferences. But we can talk about preferences and hyper-personalization. I think there's a lot of things that are going on here. Kudos to them for seeing a lift due to their new technology in terms of engagement and sales and so forth. But I just felt like, Aransas, that we needed to kind of talk about personalization, where things are at, especially with AI going on.
Agree. I thought the first thing you were going to talk about is modes here. So I'll just dive in with that. One of the things you said a long time ago that really stayed with me and that I now think about quite often is the fact that in most of these personalization strategies, the companies miss the opportunity for modes thinking. So for those who aren't sort of steeped in this world with Dave, Joe, and I, we're talking about modes, are the modes that people get into being defined by the actions that they're trying to get done, the things they're trying to accomplish, and the mindset that they are temporarily in order to accomplish that little task. And so what so much personalization misses is that, maybe I'm in vacation mode today. I am. That's the punchiness. But maybe tomorrow I'm going to a wedding mode, right? And so I'm looking for something completely different. And if they're personalizing for me based on what I shopped for that one day, they're really going to miss the opportunity to connect with me. And so one of my biggest cautions to them is to not use those shopping patterns to act as if they know me and who I am. Because when I went to Saks.com, actually who I am as a person who can't afford anything on there. Good data. I mean, it would have to be a really special experience for me to somehow need a pair of Balenciaga sneakers more than I need a new patio. But or a vacation. But they Right. They're not going to get that data. And what are they going to do with that? I mean, I guess I skimmed some things because I was fascinated by the fact that you could buy $5,000 sneakers. But what are they learning about me as a shopper? Am I totally excluded from it, from their customer database because I'm not interested in a $5,000 pair of sneakers? I don't know. So that was sort of my initial thought, was like, so much of this is really challenging to get at, unless, and I think this is sort of what their CCO Emily Asner was alluding to, is that this is just for a very specific customer. The customer who is shopping at a very narrow range of brands that they own, and that they're going to go big on a small group instead of trying to make personalization meet the needs of a much broader group of customers.
Yeah, could be. Joe, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, as you pointed out, Dave, I've been talking customization for so long. Actually, my first book, Mass Customization, came out the year before the World Wide Web was invented. Right, that's how long I've been talking about this.
Yeah, and telegrams. Yeah,
right.
Carrier pigeons.
And as we said, I've never seen this level of personalization done well on a website, other than with dashboards, right, where you can actually manipulate it yourself, and then you can get
the
it very
modular
well. I
approach. Yeah.
I wonder if they would sort of take that approach and let me tell you what is they want, including a sticker or a click for what mode I'm in would be great. I was just interacting with a tourism company last week that's developing an experience platform that basically is geared off of modes, which is quite exciting to see.
That is exciting.
And you said, and I like you said, that you said personalization is a form of customization. Sometimes people think it's the other way around, but personalization, and I think it's what they're using here, is basically often when you're doing things just off of demographics, off of what they did say they're integrating databases in there. And what you need to think more about is either transparent, and I think this is where they're heading, is not just cosmetic customization or personalization, but transparent customization, where you base it off of what they do. You don't ask them 20 questions, and you figure out what they do. And like you said, Dave, they've gotten a lift on what they've done so far, which is great. But like Aransas said, you're going to miss a lot in it. But I do think at the edges this can make a difference, right? At the edges they can do it. But like the dashboard one that I mentioned earlier is more collaborative. Is let's work together and figure out what they want. And I think they should, particularly if it's for a small group of customers, think about going to that step when you get people that are raving fans and really say, okay, well, let's make Saks you, right? Let's make it happen. And the other thing I'll mention is what's really important is bringing this into the real world. I mean, still vast majority of Saks is bought in the stores. It's where you have that direct personal interaction, and they hinted at being able to do that, but not much more than that. But when you can take what you learn online and apply it in store, and what you learn in store and apply it online, then you've got something. And that's, I think, the direction they really should head in.
Agree.
Yeah, I mean, the term personalization has meant for a long time now, almost like, hey, we're going to do all this work for you behind the scenes, and we're going to surprise you with what it is that we know about you, and make you feel like you're somehow connected to us. And we're going to track your preferences.
Right.
That's what we're going to do. And because your preferences are the best predictor of future behavior, so they think, right? We're going to be successful. And one of our key arguments for a long time has been preferences matter to an extent, but they are way overused. And what really matters is what Aransas is talking about. We talk about it sometimes as modes. We also talk about it as situational data, right? Contextual data. before this podcast, I did a quick chat at GPT on hyper-personalization, how the term has changed or evolved. And I'm happy to see that they're starting to include contextual data and AI predictive models as a part of hyper-personalization. So the term is actually shifting more towards what we've been arguing all along, and that preferences is only one piece. But even so, Joe, to your point, they're not giving the customer necessarily control. And that's why we've often said we're not going to use the word personalization, we're going to use the word individualization, just to kind of delineate between the two. Because we know that consumers, and I'm assuming that this narrow group of consumers that they're talking about, Aransas, that are very wealthy, sure, they want you to anticipate
Or
things.
they aren't necessarily very wealthy. They are big spenders.
Big spenders.
Just to clarify.
Good point. Good point. Right. And so they may very well get to know what it is that they want, but my guess is that they're still going to want some control.
Yep.
And so this idea of a dashboard is actually a better way to think, I think, than what they're describing.
So the other big thing that popped out to me about this was also related to context, which is I find it surprising that they are choosing to invest their personalization efforts in their homepage, because people aren't going to homepages anymore.
Right.
Well, I read that. I may have read it wrong, but what I read was that it was this idea of that people would have their own personal homepage.
It's not that.
Old school.
It looks like a homepage.
Right.
If it were what you're saying, it would, if it were my own personal homepage, I would know they were creating it for me. I would care. We would collaborate, to you and Joe's point on it. It isn't. They are serving it up based on data with the idea that I should believe that everybody's getting the same page. Everybody knows that Amazon is customizing their pricing and their pages based on data. That is old news. If it were I guess the thing that's surprising to me is that they're not thinking contextually. People aren't spending their time on web pages. They are spending them in social media. I would be putting all this money into TikTok or YouTube and social selling. That's where the customization is happening. I just did a quick search to most recent article that came up was from Forbes in 2024. So supposedly, we'll see where we are now, but as of 2024, they were saying that social shopping was projected to hit a $1.2 trillion market value by 2025.
Yeah.
That is where the spending is happening. Why? Because you're getting them where they are instead of asking them to go where you are, which is just selfish.
Yeah. No, I, that's a good point. I hadn't even thought about that particular piece, and it's just, it just kind of harkens back to a different era, doesn't it?
Yes, it feels very 2010.
Odd kind of thing that's going on. It's also interesting that this idea of retail personalization is so important to them, and maybe they know something that we don't know with their customers, but like Sephora is doing the same thing, or you talked about Amazon, Charlotte Tilbury, lots of retailers are doing this level of personalization, and there's platforms like Reflection, I don't know how to say it, but Uniqlo and Godiva, lots of companies are doing this particular piece. So it'll be interesting to see what Saks brings to the table. That's going to be true.
My worry for them is that they just look old school. They look old fashioned by taking this approach, which is what we think about these legacy brands. Saks has been around a very long time.
Yeah.
And when you see the fashion brands that they're representing re-emerge, it's not because they're doing the old thing. It's because they're doing something really brave and new that has a strong point of view on the future. And I just don't hear that in this strategy.
I don't either. The other thing that concerned me is it looked like they were super excited about the fact that they could sell ad space on their site.
Ooh, ooh,
Yeah.
that's the death knell. That is
Well, and it was. I mean, it may be just it may be just the products that they're selling where they can give them, like preferential
Prioritize.
treatment
Yeah.
or something along that line. But it just, I don't know. It said AI, but it didn't come across to me as being. So then I started thinking to myself, well, maybe what they're trying to do is be global because that's what they're about. So they're trying to customize things like the currency that you're going to pay in, the delivery, which is all fantastic, but not news.
No.
one of the when they talked about, also that relates to being from years ago, when they talked about AI, Dave, they mentioned machine learning. It's not generative; it's machine. I mean, I haven't heard the term machine learning in a while because so many focus on everything else.
Yeah.
And even Amazon, I've long cited as an exemplar of mass customization, and they are, but they're not nearly as good as they could be. And I think it's because they think their job is to sell ads as much as it is to sell products. I think ads really is the death knell of doing that. Focus on me, not on people who are paying you money on the other side, right? Focus on me as a consumer.
That
I'll
was
tell you one quick story that I think relates to what
Yeah.
you both talked about. Is I often take clients on experience expeditions and go out into a city and experience it, and love going to New York, and often would get a series of cosmetic type places. And in fact, I don't know if it's still there, I've been there in a while, but the Columbia Center, old CNN Time Warner complex, right? There were like 4 or 5 of them right there. There was a L'Occitane, there was a Sephora, there was an Aveda, and at least one other. There was a men one. Procter and Gamble had the shaving experience there.
Oh yeah,
Shaving store with a little.
I remember that.
Right, but anyway, Sephora I included on it because I just thought it was always just like a terrible experience. I ever go in there, it's sort of like dead, and obviously I am not in the target market, but I didn't realize how far out of the target market I was until what I'll call a gaggle of girls came in socially, talking to each other, trying on stuff, and finally said, this is what Sephora is about. This is what makes Sephora work. And that's social shopping. Now, what I'd like to see somebody is to bring that social experience online, and there are some that do, but that's something that would really enhance exactly what you're talking about, Aransas. Of I don't know what mode you would call it, but a mode of social shopping completely different.
Call it that. Right?
Yeah, and absolutely. This episode is brought to you by Cargo, a strategic marketing firm that we at Stone Mantle have partnered with for years. Cargo knows how to build meaningful brand experiences because they ask every prospect or client the same question. What if every customer brought you your next one? Let's face it, customers advocating for your brand, not you, is the only currency that matters now. It's the kind you earn by investing in moments that move people, experiences that hit deeper, stick longer, and spark something real. Because when something feels personal, when it truly resonates, people share it. And when they do, you don't just earn attention, you earn trust, traction, and impact that money alone could never buy. Cargo focuses on just that, inspiring advocacy, creating unforgettable brand moments that spark real connection, meaningful conversation, and loyalty that builds movements, not just market share. For a limited time and only for Experience Strategy Podcast listeners, they're offering their proprietary advocacy readiness workshop for free to a few companies who are serious about getting every customer to bring you the next. Follow the link in the show notes to sign up and tell them that Dave, Aransas, and Joe sent you. And it is interesting that you bring that one up. My 14-year-old makes fun of those girls because they are so much younger than her.
Okay.
That's how young
Good.
these girls are, and they are a
Right.
key demographic. And do you know why? Because of my earlier point, social shopping
Right.
online. They've learned about it on TikTok, and the TikTok influencers for Sephora, aka Sephora girls, as they are called in my house. Sephora girls are 8 and 9 years old, and they have discretionary spending, and they are investing it to a degree in Sephora, that Sephora is investing back in them via the platforms they are on, right? And that again, I'm just coming back to this idea that, like, you can't ask your customer to come find you. You have to go and meet them where they are. And if you can't do that, then you're just giving up having a relationship with them. I wouldn't put up with that from somebody I was in a friendship with. Oh, you always come to my house.
It does make you wonder if Saks thinks this is a demographic issue for Saks, where they're going after an older target audience. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like it's really rare that we see, and I say this as a 50-year-old now. I think it's very rare that we see brands win by targeting and catering their entire strategy to people over 70. And believe me, we
It,
tried
it
at
just
Weight
doesn't
Watchers.
seem it just doesn't seem right.
It's a hard strategy to win.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't. How do you be fashion? How do you be fashion forward and everything else? But I think it's great that they're working on personalization. I think that they've had an in-store experience that it has been really quite compelling
Mhm.
for decades. Uh, but just I don't know.
Okay, so let's quick round robin on what we think they should be focusing on here, because I'm just going to start and say that I think looking at other companies that are more directly tailoring that online experience to create more of a replication of the high value in-person experience are probably going to win. I'm thinking about Nordstrom here. They have invested so heavily in product videos that make you feel like you can touch and feel and see something in action. They've really aimed to create a curated, guided experience online to echo what they're famous for in person. And that to me feels like, along with social shopping, where I think these brands should be focused.
Well,
Joe or
you
Dave?
go first, Joe. You go.
I would say it's the integration of the IRL. Another thing about the article, it mentions IRL, right? The in real life experience in the store and what's going on online. And since they're talking homepages, well, most of the action is really on apps anyway. So you got really three things that you integrate together, enhance the experience, and learn from one and apply in all.
Yep. Yeah.
I think that they should be building tools that will allow them to, when there's a major event that's happening that their demographic is really interested in, fashion forward, kind of exciting type thing, that they can customize the page to support the individual who wants to go to that kind of an event, or who has something exciting that they're going to do. So show me what it's going to look like if I'm going to the Monte Carlo F1, race. And that's exciting to me. That's a situational need that I have. Dress me up for it. Make me look good.
I love it. All
If
right,
I'm,
guys. I am heading off on a big vacation today.
Woo-hoo!
Woohoo! I'm going to hit 2 festivals, a music festival and a theater festival. So for our next topic, will one of you try to find an article for us so we can talk about festivals, so I can bring some strong point of view on that one?
yeah.
You're just trying to
Thanks.
write off your vacation, Aransas. You can't fool me.
I hadn't thought about that, but thank you.
Oh,
I was
that's the
actually
way to
trying to
go.
not prepare for the next episode. Uh, short-sighted strategy there. This has been fun, guys. Thank you so much for the great conversation. As always, I'll be thinking about it all the way to my destination. Listeners, continue the chat with us over on Substack. You know where to find us. Hey friends, I am so excited to share that Feedback Now and Stone Mantle are giving away a free pilot program to bring your real-time data idea to life. We get it. We know there's a lot of clutter in experience data and how hard it can be to pinpoint the real issues. That's why we're excited to introduce you to Feedback Now, the world's best company for real-time feedback. They process over 130 million customer opinions every year in over 50,000 unique locations around the world. Companies who use Feedback Now see an average increase in satisfaction of 15% in just 6 weeks. They're the real-time choice for sentiment data collection for some of the world's best airports, retailers, and hospital systems. Why? Because they don't just capture immediate customer sentiment. They help you see the patterns in your data. No amount of AI can compensate for not having real customers giving you real-time insights into your experience. That's what Feedback Now with a little assistance from Stone Mantle does. Want us to help you with your real-time data idea? Just go to their website, which we've listed in the show notes, share your idea for a project, and we'll reach right back out to you.